Hello and welcome to Blade Bench. Today we are checking out the super cool CRKT M16-14D Tanto, or Tonto, depending on where you're from. I really like Tonto knives. This thing is super cool. This thing is the Desert Warrior. It comes in this really cool desert tan color. Almost looks a little bit more of like a coppery color, but they call it a desert tan, and I really dig it. This thing's super cool. It's super chunky and big and thick, and I do like kind of larger folding knives. This one, the blade length on this guy is 3.99 inches, so just shy of where I like my knives. I really typically like knives between 4 inches to 5.5 inches as far as like an EDC, something I'm going to carry, something I consider a big-ish knife, at least would start at 4 inches. But this thing coming in at 3.9 inches, it ticks that for me. 3.9 inches, I'll give it. I'll I can get past the 3.99 and pretty much pretend it's a 4-inch knife. But yeah, really cool, super cool knife. This is they call this the M16-14D model. And because with these M16s, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, there's so many different variations, totally a bunch of different blade shapes, serrations, colors, flippers. This one's got the single flipper. Some of the M16s have a dual, the dual kind of, flipper tab on there sort of thing. And yeah, this thing is just super cool. This thing came on sale, and I figured I would just add it to the collection. It ticked that box for me of almost being 4 inches. I really, anything over 4 inches, I'm like, okay, I'll give that a try and just add it to the collection just because I like my big folders. But yeah, this thing's super cool. I got it and right away I loved it. This thing is in my pocket rotation a ton. Very cool knife. We'll go over, yeah, some of the details on this thing because there's actually quite a lot to go over with this thing. So yeah, like I said, this is the 3.99 inch blade length, and it's got the Oz 8 blade steel, which is, a good bang for your buck kind of steel, good edge retention, but sharpens easily and kind of budget-ish friendly sort of thing. I like it. The Oz 8, a lot of the cold steel stuff's Oz 10. I've never had a bad experience with it. So yeah, cool blade steel. This is the Tonto, so it's got this really cool, really mean looking, chunky, almost looks like like a great white shark blade sort of thing. Just very, very cool, really stout. It's a pretty thick blade. It's like 3.5 millimeters. I think it's actually 3.56 millimeters thick. So it's got a pretty thick blade, and it's thick. I like that about the Tontos. You can see it's thick basically right up to the end here, and it tapers quite abruptly. So it's got a really strong tip on it. So yeah, there we go. And so the blade finish, what they actually call it, is a titanium nitride finish, which is corrosion resistant, but it's also non-reflective. They make these apparently for military and things like that. And the military, I don't know how many military people use it. If there's people that have actually toured with these things and used it in the military, I would love to hear that. Because I've always seen these M16s, and I know they kind of market them to, as tactical folders for military, but I'm curious how many people actually use them for that, or if they just use them kind of for the cool factor. I'm sure there's a huge mix of both. But they definitely, they definitely have some cool factor. This is a bigger blade, and when you whip this thing out, it's got that, whoa, what are you carrying that huge knife for, dude? It's got that kind of wow factor to it. So these scales are aluminum, front and back aluminum, anodized in this kind of desert tan color. The blade is super non-reflective, but the handles definitely have some reflection to them. But they're nice. They've got that nice kind of aluminum anodized look to them. So super cool. This has kind of a unique-ish lock system for those that you don't know. What do they call this thing? Basically, it's like an automated safety for the liner lock. So it is a liner lock, but if you notice at the top here, it's got a little button, or like a little switch, I guess you could say. And if you see in there, when I operate this button, look right here. See that little thing? So when you open the knife, this little thing comes shut, and now what it does is it blocks the liner lock, so it won't fold even if I'm operating the liner lock. So what you have to do to fold it, you pull back on this little lever, you know, move the liner lock, and then you can go ahead and close it. And at first it was a little bit of a tricky kind of thing-ish to get used to. But after, you know, fiddling and playing with this thing just a little tiny bit, it became second nature to just figure out how to close it. It is a flipper, and it's got some really nice, like pretty aggressive jimping, I guess you'd call it, on that flipper tab. So it flies open. It is on washers. It's not ball bearings or anything like that, but I mean, it flies open, and it's very drop sheddy. I gotta watch out to get my fingers out of there, but you'll see, you know, a little bit of wiggling, but it falls shut quite nicely, but flies. It's got a really nice detent. So when you open it, and it's got this really cool click, like it's got a very mechanical, cool sound to it. And I think that's because when you open it, you get this extra little click from that thing engaging. So let's see if you can hear it. It's got this cool, like it's, I don't know, it's just cool. It sounds different than all my other knives to open. And it's one of those knives that's really fun to just sit there and, you know, sit there and fidget with it, which is half the fun of owning all these things, is just, you know, you get it, play with it sort of thing. It does have thumb studs that act as like the blade stop sort of thing. And they've got, here, let me open it. They've got this really cool texture, like, you know, like a grippiness, like a checkered grippiness on the thumb studs and on the pivot on that front side, the face side. So here, let me give you a couple close-ups of it. So there's the blade, really cool blade. It does have the triple, what do they call it? Triple tooth, triple point serrations. I like it. Some people don't. I don't have serrations on all my knives, but sometimes I like it. And this one, I just thought it looked cool. And it was the only one I think they offered. I think this this Desert Tan, at least where I bought it from, they didn't have a full straight edge one. I probably would have gone for that. But the serrations are cool. I dig them. So there's a bit of a close-up of the blade. You can see it's got, you know, it's got this like really flat finish to it. So it's a little marked up, but I've used this thing quite a lot. There's the blade. Handles have a really cool color. And then here's the back side. Pocket clip is not deep carry. That's nice and long. Nice clip. Clips for me are meh. I'm never a huge selling point or anything for me. So there you go. You see the model number, Carson design, super cool knife. You can see this little safety mechanism, and you can, you know, reverse the pocket clip and things like that. 4-position pocket clip, which is kind of neat. I put it in this position. That's not the position it came in. I believe it was here for tip down carry, but I prefer tip up. Super cool knife. Super cool knife. Big, and it's long, so it's basically got a 4-inch blade, and you can see it's a pretty big knife. I've got medium to medium large-ish hands, and yeah, you know, there's still extra. If you got bigger hands, you'll easily be able to hold on to this thing. So it's really cool. There is this kind of jimping on the back of the blade here and up at the front of the flipper. So when you're up, you know, choke up, get a little choked up on it. You got some good grip on this thing. But yeah, anyways, very cool knife. Thanks for checking this thing out. Do one more pass of it. It's cool to add to the collection. A lot of my knives are black, and they got that regular tactical look, black with a silver blade or black with a black blade. This thing adding into the collection is just cool. It's, you know, it's got that tan color. It's just, it's really neat. The action's great. It stays super sharp. It's nice and big and chunky. It just has a really cool look to it. There's a nice look at it closed. Beautiful. Look at that thing. I really like how it's got, you know, this curve here with the jimping all the way around. Jimping on the flipper. Super, super cool knife. Really cool knife. Well, there you go, guys. Video of the M16-14D Desert Warrior. Thanks for sticking around. Of course, if you like the video, please like it, and please subscribe if you want to see me do some more of these vids from my collection. Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.